Welcome back YouTube to another video, and welcome to the home gym. A suggested name in the comments section was the Caravan Gym, so we're just going to roll with that. Why the Caravan Gym? Because I live in a static caravan, and that's about it, I think. First of all, I would like to thank Factory Weights for giving me a commercial discount on the equipment in exchange for displaying it, so I shall display. Here we have the Highlander barbell. It's a power barbell. The knurling is rather aggressive. As you can imagine, it is a stiff barbell. Brass bushings for extra longevity and less maintenance. A stainless steel shaft for longevity and less maintenance. Chrome sleeves, which you see on pretty much every barbell these days. That includes barbells like the Rogue Ohio barbell. Saying that, how does it compare to the Rogue Ohio power barbell? Personally, I prefer this barbell. Why do I prefer this barbell? Because it's cheaper and does the same job. The knurling is just as aggressive, and personally I found this barbell just as stiff as me in the morning. Just as stiff as the Rogue Ohio power barbell. That's just a quick overview of the barbell. We've got the cast iron weight plates, old school indeed. Yes, not as accurate as calibrated weight plates, which they do offer, but I thought, well, I want to make it my home gym, and whilst calibrated weight plates are great if I was competing, which I do plan on doing at some point, it's just personal preference. I prefer the way they look, and I prefer the way they sound. And then we've got the Pro squat stand. It's sturdy. That is definitely what you want with a squat stand. The numbers aren't too spaced far apart or too close together. You can get into a very good position. And there's also attachments for these squat stands, such as dip bars, the storage, and other attachments which you can purchase on the website. Anyway, as for the platform, I built this myself. It's 2 OSB boards, 1 hardwood ply board, and 2 rubber mats that I bought from a guy in a barn. Literally, he was in a barn, and I bought them from him. These are gym mats, not barn mats or stable mats or horse mats or whatever you want to call them. They are actual gym mats. I don't know what brand, but they are gym mats. I don't store any of this outside. It stays inside. As for the platform, this stays on a pallet. I've wrapped it over and over with some tarpaulin. I will be treating the wood so I don't have to keep putting it away. But until then, I'm going to have to keep putting it away, which means I should do it as soon as possible. There is really no accessory work today because the gyms have shut early, and I usually go quite late, so I wouldn't have enough time to do... Although saying that I could go to Pure Gym, but it's late now, and I just want to crack on with some compounds and then do all of the accessories tomorrow. I've just worked up to a top set of 205 kilos for a triple. That was at a rate of perceived exertion of 7, although I feel like I probably could have got more, so I'm going to say 6.527. You can be the judge of that. Here it is. Okay, now I'm going to do some back offsets. 185 kilos for the 3 repetitions to 5 repetitions, and then 2 further back offsets, which I have to have a look at my sheet. The program I am running is a program made by myself. I am doing 4 weeks of triples, 4 weeks of doubles, and then I am peaking. So that might be 4 weeks, that might be 6 weeks. I'm not too sure. I need to figure it out. But essentially, when I start peaking, I'm going to start off with singles at RP5 and then just keep working up until I can't put any weight on the bar. Hopefully I get a PR out of it. In order to get a PR out of it, I'm going to have to structure it really well. And my recovery is going to be have to... And my recovery is going to be have to... And my recovery is going to be have to... God damn it, I just want to fucking say what I want to fucking say. And my recovery will have to be on point. I'm pretty sure that's what I was supposed to say. I don't know at this point. But yes, we're going to do that. And then we're going to do some bench press. I might do that inside the caravan. I'm not too sure yet. And then I'm going to do some clean and press. Because why not? I just want to do that. I'm not going to go heavy on it because I've got deadlifts tomorrow. Although saying that, if I'm doing the accessories for this day tomorrow, then I guess I can go heavier. If I was doing my usual routine, it would be deadlifts, a little bit of bench press, and then accessories. So I guess I can get away with going a bit heavier on the muscle clean and strict press today, but that won't be a regular occurrence. I'm just doing it because I want to do something more than just squats and bench pressing. And yes, I could do other exercises that involve the legs, like an RDL or a hip thrust, because I do have a bench. And I could do floor pressing or some sort of variation with the bench press. But again, all of my accessories for the bench press are technically not tomorrow, the next day, when I do deadlifts and bench. So that is, I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from. I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm going to have to adjust the ISO because it is getting rather dark. I might even have to pull out the light in the cupboard. Eventually, anyway. I don't think I'll need to just yet. Let's crack on. Ah! My fucking finger can! God damn it! Create some space between the plates so I hear the jingle jangle, the clingle clangle, the mingle mangle, the bingle bangle. And that is exactly why I bought the iron cast plates, because of this. In fact, I've also updated my microphone. I have the DJI Mini instead of the Rode Me, and I've got an external mic. External? Obviously, an additional mic, and I put it on the end of the bar like that, so you'll be able to hear that a lot better. For the ASMR, for the and the the bum and ah. It's getting dark. Let me check the ISO. ISO, there's many more elements to filming than just the ISO. Oh, that's dark. This is a low bar focused day. High bar will be on Friday or Saturday. Yummy. Now, you're probably thinking, that was easy, Ryan. Yes, it was easy, viewers. But I'm cooked. Because for the Bants, I did a 300 kilo sumo deadlift the other day. Here that is. Jar Jar Binks power. This feels illegal. Woo! It was skits, bro. But not impressive, to say the least. And so I am reaping the repercussions, not reaping, I'm feeling the repercussions of prattling about. My hips are just as cooked as my CNS. So the light that I thought I had, I don't have. So what I'm going to do is finish up squats. I'll show you the 2 sets. And then what I'm going to do is do the bench press alongside the leg exercises. I've got 2 quad exercises, 1 hamstring exercise, and 1 calf exercise. During my low bar day, I do quad focused. During my high bar day, I do hamstring focused. That's just the way I like to do it. Don't question me. I'm sure you like to do things in your own way. This is how I like to do it in my own way. Now, I can see the logic in doing the hamstring exercises on the low bar day and the quad exercises on the high bar day, because the low bar targets more of the posterior chain and the high bar targets more of the anterior chain. But I thought to myself, if I'm doing heavy deadlifts the day after low bar back squats and bench pressing, then it wouldn't be very logical of me to do hamstring work, as I'm going to need to utilize the majority of the posterior chain when I'm doing deadlifts. So I don't want too much fatigue added on the next day when I do my heavy deadlifts, as opposed to me doing the quad exercises and just 1 hamstring exercise which is unilateral, by the way. It's rather light to moderate weight, unilateral, just to balance out any imbalances I've got going on in the old hammies, as well as adding a little bit of volume to my legs, because my legs are just as stubborn as my chest. Anyway, I'm ranting, I'm burning light. Let's crack on with it, shall we? 3 to 5, but I'll most likely do 3, just because I'm cooked. I should have done a pause with the last rep of 185 kilos in Ryan Price Lifts fashion, but 167.5 kilograms, as long as I pause on the end of each of these sets, I'll be satisfied. Not 100%, because I still wish I did it on the last set. Don't ask why, just an OCD thing. I like to do things in an orderly fashion as opposed to a jumbled mess, and to be honest, it's unnecessary, the pauses at the end, because I do paused high bar anyway. It just feels good, and it's a way of upping the intensity on the low bar squats, especially if I'm working with lower rep ranges because I'm already fatigued. I feel like pausing on the last rep is just something I've done for a while now, and it seems to be increasing my squat, so I just roll with it. The light has shined upon us once again. I'm not sure how this is going to be, but we shall see. I think what I'll do is I'll use this. I'll put it on here. Yeah, that should be okay. Yeah, I can't see how that wouldn't work. Yeah, let me change the white balance. That looks nice. This is a temporary solution, which is a rather blinding one, to be quite frank, but it works. As you're training in the morning, not the night. It's currently 9 o'clock at night. Yep. Yeah, that does it for squats. I mean, I could do bench, but I'm just tired. So, tomorrow morning, I'll do some bench pressing and some clean and press, and then go to the gym and do some accessory exercises. It is the next day. I'm just going to give the platform a little clean, wait for it to dry, and then crack on with some bench press. Wow. Okay. Too much power apparently. You see, my problem here is that we have the platform under here. That is the lip of where the rubber mat sits, and then this part of the rubber mat sits on the concrete. Now obviously there is a height discrepancy which makes this incline, so I have two choices. Find a way to balance it out by using bits of planks of wood that I have over there, or just find a better place to bench press. Now over there is at a slight left-hand slant. This goes uphill, so I think if I can find level ground here, this will be my best bet. I'm going to experiment over the next couple of weeks, or should I just say over the next couple of days. It doesn't need to be experimented over a couple of weeks. All I need to do is find a place where I could put the squat rack and then bench press on level ground. I'm an idiot. I filmed it all in portrait mode, not landscape mode, because I had my TikTok brain on. I need to get out the habit of that, because with the distance that I have between me and the camera, I am 100% sure that I could just crop it into portrait mode. There is plenty of space for me to be able to crop it. Well, I mean, sorry. Next time it will not happen. I will make sure I film in landscape mode, not portrait mode. Inside my bottle here is 8 grams of creatine. You're probably thinking, well, isn't the recommended dose between 3 and 5 grams? Yes, that is correct. But personally, I've found that having 8 grams for me seems to work really well. I've tried 3, didn't really notice much of a difference. I've tried 5, there was a little bit of difference. And then I tried 7, and I was like, oh, actually, you know, over the last few weeks, I've noticed a good increase in endurance and strength and overall performance. And I was like, do I put it down to diet? Well, the diet's been the same. Do I put it down to hydration? I've been drinking the same amount every day. Do I put it down to recovery? Recovery's pretty good. It has been over the last few weeks. And then I thought, what have I changed? Because I haven't changed the exercises. All the exercises are the same. Then I looked into my supplementations. I take 2 capsules of lion's mane, 2 capsules of L-theanine, that's around 10 o'clock in the morning. That just helps me process my thoughts a bit better, helps me beeline as opposed to bumble line, you know. I've always found that my thoughts are like a tree. They just constantly spread out, and I've split myself into 4 and following all branches at the same time, which doesn't seem to work very well on a productive level. But since taking lion's mane and combining that with L-theanine with a tad bit of caffeine from green tea, talking about green tea, my green tea is stewing, and I don't want it to stew too long, otherwise it'll become bitter. But yeah, combined with the caffeine from green tea, and I don't let it stew for too long, I let it stew for about 2 to 3 minutes, because I haven't consumed caffeine properly for about 3 years. In fact, I haven't consumed caffeine for longer than that, probably 4 years. I've gone through the occasional phase of having a black coffee way too late in the day, which disrupts my sleep. That is the main reason I didn't consume caffeine. But I've noticed when I consume lion's mane and L-theanine and have caffeine a lot earlier on, and I don't have strong sources of caffeine like black coffee or pre-workout or energy drinks, not that I touched pre-workout or energy drinks anyway, because they're just damn right for you, and I don't care what you say. Look at the ingredients. Far too many artificial flavourings and preservatives for my liking. And the caffeine amount is ridiculous. It's diabolical levels of caffeine. And people wonder why they have shit sleep. And then they use more caffeine to make up for the shit sleep that the caffeine is causing. It's quite ironic, actually. But there's not a lot in, well, okay, there's a moderate amount of caffeine in green tea if you let it stew. But if you let it stew for about 1 to 2, maybe 3 minutes at most, there's not as much caffeine. And I've always found that when I drink green tea, the ups and downs, there is none. It's very stable. You get a nice little peak of energy, and it's a very gradual decline rather than a really horrible spike like having too much caffeine gives you. One moment. Fantastic. Cheers for that.
Gross.
Yeah, just like I thought, it's at a slight incline, but it's so minute that I don't even know if it's worth correcting. Let me have a look. Let's try... Okay, well, that made it worse. Yeah, I'm now actually creating a decline. I would rather have an ever so slight incline as opposed to a decline. There's more benefits to a slight incline than there is a decline. I think what I'll do is I'll create a block that'll have like a 2 or 3 millimeter difference on this. So I'll measure this, increase it by about 1 or 2 millimeters, and create a block that sits underneath this nicely. That way it's always consistent, because eventually where I'm going to be pounding heavy weights, These bits of wood are going to compress where these bits of wood aren't exactly strong bits of wood. They're quite weak bits of wood. I got them off of a bog standard pallet as opposed to a heavy duty pallet. But yeah, as I was saying about caffeine, I think I've covered it all. But yeah, pre-workout and energy drinks, why bother? Just prioritize sleep. And then if you get a great amount of sleep and you think, oh, I could use a little pick-me-up, you know. Not that you're tired, it's just, oh, there's a bit of, I don't like the way that looks. I think there might be a slight amount of oil in the cup because I used a bit of olive oil. Oh, it's a bit of olive oil, it's not going to kill me, is it? Well, this will be the irony where I drink this and the next day it's rest in peace, Ryan.
You say your name was
Ryan Price Lifts. So it is this one here. So that's my YouTube because there's so many comments, but I try to get through all of them. Yeah, it's just all the bad ones, aren't it? Oh, I don't even. You always get that with you get anything you do, mate. Could be the most positive thing in the world. Someone will always find something to nitpick. But then it's just like extra engagement. That's how I see it. It's like, yeah, you're commenting, you're trying to insult me, but actually you're promoting the video by commenting. So cheers, mate. Cheers for calling me a knobhead. Right. I think I'm going to get dressed and then crack on with some bench press. Oh, mate, the sun is directly in my eyes. Yeah, I can't bench like this. Improvise, adapt, overcome. All of the obstacles that could have got in my way are no longer. The only issue with this one is that I'm using a bin to hold this up, and the bin smells. Yucky indeed. I am a conqueror of the sun. This is truly a big brain moment. I need to move that down now. One obstacle after the other. How am I going to survive this? I don't know. All I know is that I need to adapt to the situation. Ow, that hurt. Nah, just let it grow organically. Yeah. That's the best way of doing it, yeah, because then you know if your content's good or not. Yeah. If your content's good, it'll pop off. The inevitable. Oh. 150 kilos on the barbell with the fake weight plates. Let's do some hoisting and heaving. Not again. If it doesn't fall down on me when I'm benching, that would be disastrous. That would actually be disastrous. I can imagine that wouldn't be too good. Not very optimal, obviously. Strength has been lost. So that kind of went as expected. 150 kilos didn't fly up like it used to, but no worries. I will eventually rebuild my strength and size. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Back offsets, 135 kilos. I'm going to do this for 5 repetitions, and then let me just have a double check of my program. 122.5 kilos for 2 sets of 5 reps. Now this set can be between 3 and 5 repetitions. So you could do 3, you could do 4, you could do 5, maybe even 6, depending on the level of your fatigue. The way 150 kilos felt, I think it would be a smart idea for me to aim for 3 to 4 as opposed to 5 to 6. That's just like the way I've been programming it recently, and it seems to be working okay because it gives me a variation, and it's easier for me to manage fatigue through that way, because one week I could feel fresh as a daisy and smash out the back offsets for a set of 6, and then the 2 remaining back offsets for a further 4 to 6 repetitions. But then you get weeks like this where I'm not feeling as fresh as a daisy, where I'm feeling weaker than usual, fatigued almost, although this is a case of just lost strength. There's two ways I could go about it. I could lower the weight and perform the same amount of reps that I would like to get on this, or use this weight and just lower the reps. Personally, I am trying to rebuild strength right now, so I would like to keep the weight a little bit higher and rep range a little bit lower. But you could argue that you could still build strength through using lower weight and higher rep ranges. That's just the way I like to program it. I prefer the lower rep, higher weight. That's how I seem to respond better to lower reps and higher weight, as opposed to lower weight and higher reps. However, that's not to say that I don't do higher reps, because on my secondary bench day, I'm working with a top set of 4 repetitions, and my back off sets are 6 repetitions. Each block, so 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, because the 4 to 6 weeks is going to be my peaking block, so that would be the 3rd block. I'm currently on the 3rd week of the 1st block doing triples, and then after next week I'm going to go down to potentially RPE 5, which would then extend the doubles block to 5 weeks instead of 4. And it probably would be a smarter idea for me to do that additional week in my next block for a lower RPE, so I can recover from the heavy work that I've been doing this month, or this block. Hopefully this is making sense. Anyway, I'm going to smash out this set, do this for hopefully 3 to 5, maybe 6. It all depends how it feels, but I'm going to assume 3 repetitions is going to feel at the rate of perceived exertion I want to achieve, as opposed to like 4, 5 or 6 repetitions with it. I am really fatigued today, but it doesn't matter. You get weeks like this, you can't let it bring you down. You just got to kind of think, okay, how can I adapt my training to the way that I'm feeling, instead of, oh bummer, now I don't want to bench anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got to change your mindset to what can you do in order to make next week better, rather than sulk on it and act like a big baby and feel sorry for yourself. You just got to get over it and crack on. Anyway, I'm going to do 120 kilos for 2 sets of 3 to 5 repetitions. Again, dependent on how the first 3 reps of 120 feel. Whilst I just said what I just said, I have to admit it is very frustrating that I have lost that amount of strength, because before I tore my pec, I was benching, well, I could have benched 180 kilos with a close grip, and now I'm struggling with 150 kilos. So yes, I have to admit it is frustrating, but I'm just not the sort of person to allow it to ruin my day. My squat and my deadlift seems to be doing quite well. It is what it is. Unusual. So that could actually be the reason why 150 felt rather hard. Now that felt easy. I felt like I could probably push out 10 repetitions, maybe even more with that. I made a critical mistake, and that mistake was I was still doing a kind of medium grip. My grip is rather close anyway. I'm talking like, oh no, I didn't put the microphone on the end of the bar. Let's move it away from my face. Otherwise it just stacks on the old decibel meter. But yeah, so my normal grip, I start at the knurling, I extend my thumb fully, and then grip there. Because I tore my pec, and I didn't want to put too much stress on my pec, I was using kind of like a medium grip, where I would use the bottom of my thumbnail as a reference for my grip. The bottom of my thumbnail would line up with the start of the knurling, and I was kind of placing my hand in the middle of the first bit of knurling. So you've got the ring, you've got the start of the knurling there, and I was dead on in between, whereas usually I'm about half an inch to an inch away from it. Well, not even an inch, I'd say half an inch maybe even less than that away from the ring. That's just a comfortable position for me in terms of utilizing my chest muscle. And I did the 150 kilos with that medium grip and was wondering why it felt a little heavier than usual. That could be the reason for it. I just did my normal grip where I fully extend my thumb on the start of the knurling, and that felt great. I think for my next session I've got to make an active effort to make sure I'm not using a closer grip. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Right, the next time you see me, I'll be in the gym. But for now, I'm going to pack all this away, eat some food, and then head off. For the last 3 weeks, I've been bashing away at 3 plates a side. Today, we are adding a half plate a side. So we have 3 plates plus a half. And by 3 plates, I mean 20 kilogram plates. And by half, I mean 10 kilogram plate. I'm going to do this for 3 sets of 6 repetitions. I'm also hoping that the noise cancellation technology on this microphone is good enough to where I won't have to do any sort of post-processing noise cancellation or even vocal isolation. I probably could have done 4 plates for 6 repetitions, but because it is the first week of progressively overloading this machine, although saying that I've been progressively overloading this machine just in different ways than adding weight. For instance, adding tempo or adding a pause, that's another way of progressively overloading a machine or any exercise. But anyway, I'm going to crack on because although I've eaten, I'm getting hungry again. I'm just constantly hungry. Yes, I've upped the weight to 4 plates and not kept it to 3 plates and a half. But I thought, how could I up the intensity a little bit more? I'm going to do a pyramid set. So this is going to be my last set on the tip top of the pyramid, of the star of the Christmas tree. And then I'm going to work my way back down. Not like a drop set, although I could do a drop set, but I'd rather do a drop set on the leg extension machine than the hack squat machine. I want to focus a bit more on control and quality reps as opposed to just absolute failure or absolute 100% intensity. Oh, hello. On this machine, as this machine carries over a lot more than the leg extension to the barbell back squat.
Okay, that was easier than I thought it'd be. To be honest, I could do another 2 straight sets of this weight, but I do have to prevent myself from listening too much to my ego and stepping over the amount of volume that I can spend this week, which again leads to too much fatigue, which is what we don't want if we're trying to build strength. Size-wise, a bit different, but yeah, not bad. So the idea of a pyramid set, going heavier than usual, or just one set of very heavy weight, is to introduce more stress to the muscle. So you break down more fibers without doing straight sets and overly fatiguing yourself. My training is based around managing fatigue. Now, whilst I do stupid stuff on the side, the only reason I can do stupid stuff on the side is because I manage my fatigue so well throughout the majority of the week. So doing something like this isn't going to kill me off next week. In fact, doing something like this would actually help me introduce some sort of adaptation to my body, to my muscles, because I've been doing straight sets. So pushing out that extra intensity, that extra stress just for the one set and then backing off allows me to continuously pound the muscle. To be fair, I could have done 8 reps, but instead I'm going to do 8 reps with 3 plates, and then I might do another set of 2 plates for like 10. I'm not sure. I'm never sure. Just for OCD's sake, I'm going to keep to the rep range of 6, and then next week I'll do the same pyramid set with the same weight, just for 8 reps instead. Or 7, I don't know. Again, all depends. Everything depends. Not just the sumo demons we need to watch out for. We also need to watch out for that hidden demon called fatigue. Okay, 6 reps is way too easy. Let's do 8. I mean, even 8 is easy. Let's do 10. Yeah, okay. 3 plates aside has become a warm-up. Moving on to the prime leg extension. Now the cool thing about this leg extension is that it has 3 shafts. Depending on where you put the weight, the tension is changed throughout the entire movement. For instance, I've set it up where there is weight on the top one and weight on the middle one. That means that the range of motion is from the very beginning to middle, not the top. And I want to target the beginning portion to the mid portion because that is where you stretch the most. That is where the majority of the tension is going to tear away and rip to shreds those muscle fibers. And that is what you want. Now, I could spread the weight out so it is equal between all parts of the movement, but I want to focus on absolutely eliminating my quads. Now, to be able to utilize the way that I've set this up properly, I've got to focus on bringing down the weight slowly, bringing down the eccentric slowly. So I can still focus on contracting hard, but I must control the eccentric. That way I can utilize the way that I've set this machine up for maximum muscle growth, or should I say, maximum muscle breakdown. Okay. Yep. Lovely jubbly. I need to make sure the reps are as controlled as possible, as opposed to just hoisting and heaving my way through a set. So what I'll do is, instead of upping the weight, I'm just going to lower the rest period between each set to 1 minute instead of 2. Maybe 90 seconds at most, but 1 minute is my aim. I don't want to push past the intensity that I'm aiming for. It's all about balance, and a lot of people will argue, well, you just push every set to failure, balls to the wall. You know, yeah buddy, lightweight baby, nothing but a peanut. From experience, I feel like doing it that way just leads to chronic pain and agony. Yep. Okay, that's why I didn't have the weight too much. Holy moly, smacker, Rooney macaroni. A lovely, close and personal focal length, so you could kiss me on the forehead as I struggle through every rep. That would be very comforting indeed. Okay. I mean, I do agree with you. The weight is too light. Lesson learned. Up it next week. Let's move on. Moving on to the single leg. Well, I'm moving on to the leg curl machine, but I'm doing single leg fumbled at the finish line. Single legged leg curls, or single leg curls. Legged or leg. It's one of the 1 million I just said. Anyway, 32 kilos. Not on the bar, because it's not a bar. The 32 kilo plate is pinned, just like I'm going to do to myself and become the next IFBB Pro bodybuilder. No, I'm joking, but I'm going to do this for 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions. Like I've said before, I think I don't do this very intensely. The weight on this and the rep range I work with is on the low end, because I am simply doing this for the sake of imbalances, correcting them, and volume, getting a bit more in. There's not really much more to it, really. I mean, I just focus on the contraction as opposed to the stretch, because my aim isn't to, well, I mean, the aim is to build size, but more so strength in the ways that I lack, if that makes sense. Hopefully, everything I just said made sense. Wow, yeah. 11. 7, 11. Reminds me of a drink. I don't know why. Oh. Ah. There we go. Okay. Apparently my left hamstring is stronger than my right. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, I could write and paint and draw with both hands. I can brush my teeth with both hands. I can comb my hair and dry my hair with both hands. I can do pretty much everything with both hands. My right hand is definitely stronger than my left hand, both strength-wise and neurologically, but I can use both hands to do the things that most people can't use both hands for. But there's always that right side dominance for me, so I'm a bit more right-handed than left-handed, but ambidextrous in tasks. Which is why when I find out my left side is stronger than my right side, it makes me wonder, I must be doing something with my squat or deadlift that is slightly more one-sided than the other. So I'm going to check back my form for the squats and deadlifts over the last couple of months. I'll sit there for an hour or two just having a good look through them, and then write down some notes on things that I can improve, and then over the next few months actively go out of my way to attack those imbalances or weaknesses, shall we say, because I'm 30 and I'm 92 kilograms. I can't really lift any more at a rapid rate. So I've really got to focus or dial down on the things that I can do to improve my overall athleticism in order to break certain PBs and stuff. Unless I was to jump on, which I've debated, I've avoided because there's a lot of health repercussions that come along with it, but I have debated because I would like to try and reach some sort of world level with powerlifting, but you know, most federations are tested and most federations out there aren't properly regulated. So it's kind of like, if I compete naturally, who's to say that the record holder is natural? Let's be honest. That's just the reality of it. Two. My throat has become very dry. I haven't drunk a sip of water or any fluid this session, which is one way to end up injured or faint, potentially die. Close and personal. The perfect way to end this session. Oh, yep. Every set has become easier and easier, as opposed to harder and harder, which is a bit confusing. Quite a long video today. You could expect more than that, because something has happened outside of camera that is both scary, but at the same time allows me to put more time and effort into content creation. And it was a decision I was very unsure about making, a very debatable one. But I think you only live once in this life, so sometimes risk it for a biscuit.